cardamom, flour, sugar, milk, 2 eggs, and margarine. So we're going to be using these ones to make our mini mandazis. So I'm going to add my milk into the cooking pot, and then I'm going to add my margarine, 2 spoons, and then I'm going to allow it to boil together. They are going to boil together. So I'm going to put that to boil a little bit, not a little bit, I mean to boil until the butter has melted. So after doing that, I'm going to add my sugar into a bowl, and then I will add my cardamom. So if you have cinnamon, you can add, but I prefer adding my cardamom. At this point, you can also add your vanilla essence, but that is optional. So I added my cardamom. As you can see, I like to see those particles in my mini mandazis. And then you're going to be adding flour little by little and whisk that to make sure that it blends in with the sugar. So you're going to mix that thoroughly, and you're going to be mixing it little by little. You're going to be adding little by little, because the reason why we call them sweet mandazis is because they are supposed to be sweet. So you have to make sure the sugar complement well with the flour. So you're going to be adding little by little until you get the sweetness that you want. For me, I didn't want that much sugar, so I kept on adding little by little. And if you don't know how to measure the sugar, the quantity, so you can just be adding little by little until you get the preferred sweetness that you prefer. So we are going to mix that thoroughly until you get the best texture. So also, when you whisk like this, you want to separate your flour so that you don't get the lumps. And then you're going to go in with your 2 eggs, but don't add too much eggs. You can add 2 or 3, but it depends on the amount of the mandazis that you're making. And then you're going to mix that thoroughly to ensure that the egg also mix well with the mixture. So you have to keep on mixing. You mix very well, you whisk until it is well incorporated. So these mandazis, I used to make them some time back then, but until before I got my daughter. But now that I got my daughter, it became lazy for me. I didn't want to be always having to cook, but now that my daughter is grown up, I usually try to make them once in a while. So that is how the texture of the flour is supposed to look. It's supposed to be like, yeah, like breadcrumbs. If you understand, the texture is supposed to be like that one of the breadcrumbs. And then you're going to make a hole in the middle. Then you're going to take your boiled milk mixed with butter, and then you're going to be mixing little by little. Don't add a lot of it, you just have to add little by little. And then you get a whisk or a cooking stick, and then you mix with it, because you don't want to hurt your hands, you don't want to burn your hands. Remember, the milk was hot, so you have to mix with your cooking stick, a spatula, or a whisker. So keep on mixing it, mix it. Don't add a lot of milk. So you have to add milk as you continue. If you find that your flour is still not mixed well, keep on adding your milk until you get the best mix that you would want to make that. Remember, for this recipe, we are not using any raising agent, we are not using a baking powder, we are not using yeast, we are not adding any of that. So you have to make sure your flour is not sticking it's not sticky. You have to make sure you get that consistency going. You see, it's not sticking on my cooking on my bowl. So you have to make sure that is the texture, that is how it looks. And at this point, the aroma is amazing. Then you're going to go in with your with your naked hands. Make sure that you knead it very well to make sure that you get the best dough, so it's not sticking. So you have to keep on adding flour, sprinkling a little bit of flour to make sure that it doesn't stick on your hands. Remember, for this recipe, you have to make sure that you get the best dough, and then apply your margarine. After the consistency is well, mix with your margarine, massage it very well. Make sure that at this point your flour, or rather your dough, is marinated well with the margarine. So you have to keep on kneading to mix it properly until you get the best results. These are one of the best recipes and easiest recipes for your mini mandazis. I don't want to imagine how many mandazis I made with this little flour. You can do this for your children, or maybe to snack during the day, or when you're going out. You can make this mini mandazis and they go up to a week without spoiling, because it's like kangumu. They are not soft for this recipe. You have to make sure they are not that soft, because they are like kangumu. The more they stay, the more they become kangumu. The first day, of course, they are going to be a little bit softer. Then you're going to separate that dough into 4 parts. Make sure that it's not sticking. As you can see on my working space, I have not added any flour. So you have to make sure your dough is not sticking even when you're spreading it on a table or on your working space. Make sure you don't have to add flour, simply because that is how it is supposed to be, and that is how you know that your dough is really well cooked. And then you're going to spread it, not that thin, a little bit thicker, because you're going to make small mandazis. Make sure it's not that thick. Remember, it's not going to proof. So you have to also create sizes, small sizes, to ensure that they will also cook inside. So you have to make sure that you make not big, not small, so that they can also cook inside. So you're going to cut that and separate them, cut them into small pieces. Continue the process until you have finished the whole dough, and then you have to make sure when I'm putting them there, I'm 100% certain that they are not going um to stick on my working space. So you have to make sure your dough is well made. So in your cooking pot, make sure you use something big. My cooking pot is small, so I went with this big sufuria. You add your cooking oil and make sure the oil is not too hot. Allow it to be a little bit hot, and cook on low heat, because you want them to cook inside. So you're going to add them one by one and make sure you cook them on low heat until they are golden brown. So I'm going to be adding them in my cooking pot and ensuring that I get the best consistency. So I'm going to repeat this procedure to all of my mini mandazis. So every time you notice that your oil is becoming too hot, you want them to cook inside. We don't have a raising agent, we don't have any raising agent, so you have to cook them well, because they have to cook inside. So make sure you use medium heat or low heat. If you can use low heat, and then if you notice they are not cooking that much, then you keep on changing. And then also remember, don't put a lot of them in the cooking oil, because they are going to produce foam because of the eggs. So you have to make sure you don't add a lot, you don't You don't add a lot of them in the cooking pot to give them space to cook one by one. So at this point, when they get that brownish color, I'm going to remove them. And then also remember, you have to be quick when you are adding them into the cooking oil, simply because some will cook, others will be uncooked, and that is how they look like. So I'm going to repeat the procedure. Every time you notice your heat is becoming too hot, you reduce your fire. So I'm going to be adding them one by one, and you have to be very, very, very quick for this one so that they can all cook the same way. Yeah, so you have to do that. This is how they look like. My mandazis were coming along. And remember to add toothpick when you're cooking to ensure your oil do not turn black. Yeah, you have to do that to ensure it doesn't turn dark. So for me, I didn't add toothpick. I ran out of some. So I used this oil, and then I had to keep to ensure, you see the way my pot looks like. I didn't add my toothpick, but if I did, it could have coated everything. So that is how my mini mandazis came. It was so sweet, and it was now time to make my tea. It was almost 4 in the evening, so I was doing tea for us to. I was making tea for us, evening tea. So I made my tea. I added hot water, tea leaves, sugar, and then just like that, our mini mandazis were cooked. It is an easy recipe. You don't need a lot of things, and even if you don't have margarine, you can add cooking oil, but margarine, it tastes better. So my tea at this point was already cooked, and I served it with our mini mandazis. They were very sweet, the aroma of it. So always remember to add cinnamon or cardamom. It gives it a very amazing smell, aroma. The house was smelling so nice because of the cardamom, and it was an amazing thing. So I want to appreciate you for watching up to this point. Thank you so much, and tell me down on the comment section if you loved our mini mandazis, and another recipe that you do want us to cook. So this is how they looked, and that is our tea, and that is how it looked. And I'm really, really, really happy they turned out this way, and they are supposed to be this crunchy, you see, like cookies. They are supposed to be crunchy like cookies, not soft.